Thank you, Your Honor. Next call, Agent Nguyen.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear the evidence in the testimony given in the cause will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Have a seat over here. Adjust the microphone if you need to.
May I proceed?
Please.
Would you tell us your name, please?
My name is Huy Nguyen. That's Huyngguyen.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
I'm currently a special agent with the FBI in San Antonio.
How long have you been with the San Antonio FBI office?
I got to the San Antonio division in 2012.
And what do you do for the FBI?
I'm a human agent. What I do is I go out and collect informants. But one of my auxiliary duties is also evidence response team.
And would you tell us what an evidence response team is?
The evidence response team is a crime scene team, right? We go out and we process crime scene, collect evidence, take photographs, write reports, and present it to juries and law enforcement.
And prior to working for the FBI, could you tell us what your background was?
I worked for 10 years with the Texas DPS Crime Laboratory as a DNA analyst. Then from there, I went to the FBI in 2004.
And what is a DPS analyst with the FBI? I mean, with the DPS, excuse me.
So there's several different types of forensic scientists with the DPS Crime Lab. Some do drug analysis, some do alcohol analysis. I did DNA analysis, meaning I worked with body fluids to determine the origin and match them to suspects or victims.
When you started working as the evidence collection team, is there any special training that goes along with that, or is it all experience?
It's a combination of both, right? You get certified in the beginning. For the FBI, there's a 2-week course close to Quantico, Virginia. You go there and you learn all the basics of forensics, crime scene reconstruction.
And could you also tell us about your familiarity with firearms and ammunition?
Well, I'm currently a special agent, so I do carry a firearm. I've been trained in the use of firearms.
And as far as ammunition at a crime scene, what kind of parts of the ammunition is important to you as you collect evidence at a crime scene?
Well, when you go to a crime scene, you look for anything that's, maybe shouldn't be there or is pertinent to the scene. So in this instance, regarding the question, spent casings, right? When a bullet gets fired, the casing is left behind. The casing could have evidence on there that could identify the gun. If the bullet that gets shot could be used to identify also what type of ammunition was used. So all this evidence can be linked together and provide like a profile of what happened.
And just generally, how is ammunition classified? Or bullets, casings, cartridges? You said you can identify it. Can you identify it by caliber?
Oh, sure. So they come in different sizes, right? The calibers. You can identify them by mainly the caliber, how powerful the weapon would be, whether or not you can fire it from a pistol or a rifle. Just the marks that are left on the casing after it's fired. Whether it's rim fire or center fired. So there's different characteristics you can look at with ammunition. And
also, do the manufacturers of those casings, do they attach their symbols or emblems to the casings?
Typically, yes, on around the rim of the casing.
Okay. So that can also tell you whether or not a similar round has been fired multiple times as opposed to different types of ammunition. Is that correct?
Well, if you see a bunch of casings on the ground at a crime scene, you can probably link them together by the manufacturer. Sometimes they have a number on it, which also corresponds to could be the year that it was manufactured. So you can take a look and see if the rounds are similar that way.
And based on your work, are you familiar generally with the difference between a rifle casing and a pistol casing?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious the size of it.
By size alone? And describe for us the difference in the sizes.
Well, if you take a pistol, like a handgun, it's the casings the bullets are much smaller, right? And they could be wider. The rifle rounds, depending on the caliber, are typically longer and more narrow than a pistol round.
And tell me, there's been a little bit of discussion about when you find a casing, is there any scientific specificity as to when you find a casing that tells you where the shooter is?
Oh, so you're asking where I find the casing, could I tell where a shooter could possibly be? Is that the
Yes.
question? So if a round is fired, from a semi-automatic, right, a gun that will automatically eject the casing. So when somebody shoots a gun, the bullet will be propelled out of the gun, correct? The casing is left behind. The casing is what holds the gunpowder, okay? The casing will get ejected out and get tossed, depending on the gun, depending on how much gunpowder is in it, it'll get tossed a certain distance away. So typically, when you see a casing on the ground, you can sort of guess as to how far away a shooter could be from that.
But there's a lot of things that affect being specific about that. Is that correct?
Sure, if you hit if a casing hits the grass, it's not going to roll anywhere. If it hits concrete, it can bounce. It could roll away. If it's on a gradient, it could roll down. So a lot of things, you got to factor the whole condition of the scene.
Fair enough. Does the position of the gun when the casing is ejected, does that also affect where the casing would end up?
The position of the gun.
How the gun is being held, I suppose is a better way to say it.
Well, the ejection port on a gun is usually on the right-hand side of the gun, right? So if you hold a gun here, the casing is going to get ejected to the right. So how the gun is held, I guess if you mean if it's pointed up or pointed forward.
Let me kind of demonstrate. So
Okay.
if you point the normal gun straight ahead, the ejection usually is to the right.
Yes.
Since I'm left-handed, that means it comes to my face, right?
Well, it'll come away to the right, not at your face.
But by the same token, if you turn the gun down, would that affect where the gun was in comparison to where the casing ends up?
Okay, so if you shoot with the gun sideways, so the ejection port is pointed down, that's where the casing is going to get ejected. It's not going to go as far if it was pointed with the ejection port going this way, right? It would go out, pointed down, it would go down.
And by the same token, if the ejection point is pointed more up, that's going to change the trajectory too.
How far the casing would go?
Yes.
Possibly, yes.
Okay. And so, as far as being very specific, do you believe we can be very specific about where a casing lands as to where the gun was fired that left that casing?
I wouldn't say specific. I'd say more generally you would know where the shooter would probably be at, but I don't think you can say with a definite degree, oh, he has to be standing right here.
And if you have a grouping of casings in a specific point, that assists too, I suppose.
Yeah, a grouping of casings in the same area together gives you a better idea rather than just one casing, okay? Because there's multiple shots being fired, they all land in the same spot. Well, typically the shooter would be around that radius, or, distance around that, the casings.
And I want to move to the second stage then, after the casing is originally deposited.
Mm-hmm.
Are there things that affect its movement thereafter?
Well, like I said, if you're on a gradient, it could roll down. If it's on grass, it's going to stay right there because, the grass is going to keep it from rolling. If somebody comes along and kicks it, so there could be other factors that could influence where it could be by the time we get there to see it.
Okay. And so if it's a high trafficked area, then that could also affect where the casing started versus where it was when you picked it up.
Yeah, the time between when it was shot and the time that when we get there, anything that goes through that scene could change how that scene is.
And did you investigate a scene on or about May 24th, 2022?
We did.
And what scene was that?
It was at Robb Elementary in Uvalde.
And how did you get involved in that investigation?
I was actually in San Antonio at the time, and I was the acting team leader for our team. Got a phone call saying, hey, our assistance is being requested to go out to Uvalde to process a scene.
And did you do that?
Yes.
And when did you get there?
By the time we mobilized, let's see, this is approximate. It takes about, an hour and 15, depending on how fast you drive, from San Antonio to Uvalde. So we probably got there closer to around 2 o'clock, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a few years.
And can you describe the scene as just in general terms when you got there?
Lots of police cars, lots of activity. We're trying to figure out where to go. First, we were told to go to the hospital to pick up evidence from victims there, and then plans changed, and we were told to head to the elementary school, and that's where we went. And then we, tried to figure out where do we begin? What are our taskings? What is being asked of us, right? So we were being asked to support the Texas Rangers, and we were asked to process the outside of the school.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Would you tell us how you did it?
Well, it's a pretty large property, at the school with the grounds of the school. So what we did was we have to take photographs first, right? Before we start anything, we take photographs of the general scene. In order to start looking for evidence, because we were looking for casings, right? We knew the general idea of what happened. So our main focus was, okay, let's find the casings. We knew where there was this truck on the far side of the school. So we started from there, did a line search. And what that means is you stretch out in a line, we get all your personnel in a line, and you slowly walk together, and everybody's looking down to the ground to see if they can find any evidence. And if you find anything, you place a flag there so that we can come back to it later. Before we pick up any evidence, we take a picture of it in place so we know what it looks like. And we take it like medium range, long range, close up. So we have an idea of where the evidence is in relation to the rest of the scene, right? So there's a lot of documentation before we actually pick up the evidence.
But as far as the flags and the photographs, that accurately depicts where y'all saw it at the time or before it was picked up.
Yes.
You can't tell us what happened to it if it was kicked or moved around beforehand, but as far as the photographs, they're going to accurately tell us where you located them. Is that correct?
The flags indicate exactly where we saw it when we got there at that time.
Okay. May I approach for a second, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Could you step?
Okay.
I'll give you just a second to orient the ditch that you were talking about, where the truck was. Robb Elementary School, the fourth grade lanes, the south grounds, and the west grounds.
Okay.
Do you recall that scene?
Yes.
Okay. And if you use this pointer, and we do have the jurors put all the way across, so that's why I have the pointer, so maybe you can scoot over just a touch from it. Could you show the jury what area you conducted the line searches?
Okay. So when we arrived, this is the funeral home across the street. We parked our vehicles here.